Just now, I went to eat barbecue lamb. The one I was talking about yesterday. Every time I walk past there, I could smell it. And finally today, I decided I was gonna eat it. And I had enough. And it was as good as usual. As good as the first time I've had it. And I guess I won't have it for a long time. I don't know if eating meat should make you feel heavier. I'm not sure if that's true for me, because I don't seem to be really sensitive to energy. And back when I was eating a lot of meat, I would eat double beef hamburger, homemade. I made myself, and it was super good. And I would eat it I had it twice or three times a week. I think twice a week. And that was a lot of more beef than I had ever had in my life. And I got some problem. I got a inflammation of my lymph nodes on my neck. Just one node, and I've never had that before. So very soon I knew it was the beef, so I stopped. And I never dared to eat it again. But it was so good. But I don't think it was as good as the lamb barbecue. Well, I don't miss the hamburger because I don't remember what it tastes like anymore. But I always remember the lamb barbecue. Maybe because its taste is stronger and it's just so good. It's so good. Sometimes it is actually a blessing that I want to eat meat so much. It just makes me much less judgmental towards people that still eat meat every day. Because I understand them, and so I have the capability or the space, the room for compassion. If I was a vegan and I hate meat, I've never had meat, I would not be able to understand why people eat meat, while it's not scientifically proven that it's not only unnecessary for their health, but also actually detrimental. I would not be able to understand. I would have a lot of resentment against people, like many vegan people have. But I wouldn't again call myself vegan or vegetarian because, like you can see, I still very rarely would go and eat meat. Not as often, but I do. And I'm not beating myself up as hard as I thought I would. I think as long as I beat myself up for eating certain foods, there's a part of me that beats other people up as well. And I don't know why I feel sad now. Maybe it's the combination of me eating meat, and I really enjoyed it though. It was so good. And I don't regret it. I don't regret what I did, because if I don't do it today, I would be thinking about it a lot. Every time I walk past it, I would just say, okay, I want it so bad, but I just can't. I did something else today, which I didn't dare to do also, was to play my small guitar outside. I enjoyed it too. I think what makes me feel sad was the conversation that happened behind me while I was eating the meat. There were people like again having fights, and not like fighting, but just not compassionate words about each other. That just makes me feel really, really cold inside. Like they scolding another person on the phone. It just makes me feel sad. Like this feeling inside of my stomach. It feels cold. It feels helpless. Like, why did you have to do that? And they just had to do it. And all over the world it's happening. The lack of compassion happening all over the world about everything. To everybody, from everybody. It just hurts me to see people scolding another, I don't see myself ever do that again. Like, maybe because I'm being judgmental right now, since I'm not in any roles. Right now, I'm just alone and doing nothing and in no relationship. Spirits, how do I not judge those people? Those two men sitting behind me. And having that conversation, that was really hurtful for me. It probably wasn't even as hurtful as hurting to that young man that was scolded. He didn't actually scold him. He just questioned what he did. In a tone that was just kind of lacking compassion and understanding. I want to have compassion for this person. I think it makes me feel sad because I used to be the person scolded a lot at home or everywhere. So I really have maybe unresolved feelings around this, so it happened and it just triggered sadness in me. Or anger too. I'm just gonna feel it and release it now. So what I realized is, I used to be so into psychotherapy and psychology and psychoanalysis. I think they're profound. They are profound, but when it comes to compared with the spiritual healing, they're just so much less effective because they don't see the cause of problem. So you can see that people going to therapy for years with very little progress, but that's some other people's path. And those people that are not spiritual, that are not acceptable, open to spirituality, then therapy is their path. Psychotherapy. If you are open to spirituality, you would be able to heal much faster. And I've got into psychology. I ever. Maybe I just didn't learn much about it. Well, I didn't. I don't know much about psychology. I have never seen anywhere said in psychology that when you have an emotion, you should feel it through. Feel it. I only learned it over and over and over again only in spirituality. Maybe in psychoanalysis, they would just analyze your feeling, like try to go back to its cause, its source, its origin. But that doesn't help. You have to again feel it first. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters as long as you do this. This is the only thing you need to do is when you have any feeling, you just feel it. Like sitting there. Feel it physically rather than feel it in your head, like thinking about it or thinking about the thoughts that it generates in you. But feel it physically inside. For example, for me, that sadness is deep behind my solar plexus and where my intestines are. It's in there, and this is just a poignant feeling, and just feel it, and it will release. You just need to, however intense an emotion is, as long as you focus on the physical sensation that it is inside of you, you focus on how it moves. Just focus on the physicality of this sensation within your body. It just takes 90 seconds. It will be completely gone. It just needs your permission to be felt, or it will just linger there, because what it is, emotions, they're they're childhood trauma. It's all originated from our childhood. It's all seated in there. Wait until you now become conscious and spiritual, and you allow it to come out when triggered. It's not like, for example, that conversation that I heard, that kind of hurts me. It's not that the conversation hurt me, but it triggered the sadness inside of me. That conversation didn't add anything to what I already have. So you can never blame another person for making you feel a certain way. They only are triggering what you already have. Or if you don't have that thing, you wouldn't be triggered. Let's say when somebody insults you, let's say a person says you're a pig. For people that don't have any hurt around that word, around that insult, or around insult, they wouldn't feel anything. Okay, pig, whatever, I'm not a pig, come on. And for people that are, somehow having unsolved issues with insults, and especially this word pig, especially the closer, the more related you are to this trigger, the more feelings you feel, especially if let's say you were somebody that was called a pig a lot by your bullies in school when you were 8. And that word especially triggers you a lot. When you hear that insult, you feel like a stab in your stomach. It's so painful, and you yell at that person, "Why do you make me feel this way? You fucking..." That's actually, that person, is, that word, it's not their fault. I mean, obviously this person themselves needs to fix their own problem of insulting people. That's not a good thing to do. Is that something that would make them happy? Believe me, they would feel terrible. They feel terrible inside when doing something like that. But they are not making you feel bad. They're triggering what's already feeling bad inside of you. That's normally suppressed, now is triggered in a specific situation. So what you need to do is take the chance and feel that emotion, like fucking hurt feeling, sadness. Feel it, like let it bubble up, and imagine it grows, imagine that it takes you over and explodes in you, and even explodes into your room, and just feel it. In just 90 seconds it will pass. Just a few minutes, it just passes you, and you will feel peaceful. And that's what I've experienced, like other times when I got trolled online, for example. I get so hurt when I'm trolled online. And normally, even that kind of thing, before I knew anything about spirituality, that kind of thing would just linger in my head. I would just ruminate about it over and over and feel hurt every single time. When I think about it, just think about it over and over, and especially before bed when you're about to go to sleep. Just think about how that person insulted me, what they must be thinking, what kind of person they must be over on the other side of the internet, and exactly what happened over and over and over. And it would never stop, and you would still be thinking about it. Even a week later, I'd still be thinking about it. Maybe not as often, but it's still. But if that happened, the moment it happened, the day it happened, I focused on the feeling that it made me feel. I just feel that. I would just cry, and I would cry more than how much hurt it seems to have done to me. Because it's like taking out the rest of it that's not even triggered. Like an online troll is not supposed to make you cry. Like, it's just a simple troll, like saying you're pathetic, for example. That would just make me cry my heart out for like 10 minutes. I would just let it happen. I let it happen, and I completely not resist any part of the sadness and any tears or anything that's coming out of me. I just let it out, and it doesn't feel even like suffering. It's just like, it's pure sadness without resistance. Is not suffering at all. It's just, you're just experience the sensation of sadness, and trust me, it's nothing unpleasant. It's not something unpleasant. It's just what is, and it's just there, and you let it pass, and that thing is just gone for good. You no longer think about it. If there's anything that you still think about, and it gives you an emotional reaction. Normally, you only think about things happened in the past that would still give you an emotional reaction. You wouldn't ever think about things that don't give you an emotional reaction. You would just forget about them. The reason why you may remember certain things is because you haven't resolved the emotions related to them. You haven't let yourself feel the emotions. Because as children, we didn't know anything, when hurt was caused, even unintentionally to us. We just took it in, we didn't know about, we needed to feel the emotion. And often we were stopped, like when we were crying, we were scolded. We were told, you are not allowed to cry now, it's your fault. How dare you to even cry? Like, you don't even have the right to cry because look at the thing you did, blah, 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 blah. They think they didn't even give us the chance to cry, and it's not their fault either. It's just the way they learned to deal with crying children, because that's the way they were dealt with when they were young, or that's how they've learned, even through movies, media, and even the collective consciousness. You can't blame them either. What we do is we come here and we just process this hurt that was passed down to us. That's why we took on these roles, We could all have chosen happy families with incredibly loving parents. We could have chosen to go to these families, to reincarnate as unconditionally loved children. But the reason why we've chosen to become, to incarnate as what we are, that went through the painful childhood, is because we wanted to resolve that hurt, the generational trauma. We wanted to resolve it. Just look at me, I chose a family that's completely the opposite of what I am, and I was just so uncomfortable being in there with them. And thankfully, they gave me space. A great gift they gave me was space. I had a controlling mother, but she gave me space. I got to play every single day, every single night until 9:30 at night after dinner if I had finished my homework, which I normally had because I was a good student, even in elementary school. I was a top student, and then I had a lot of time to play with my friends in the park, all the way from 6 to 9:30, and I'm grateful. And in high school, I had a lot of free time too. I think that's just part of a plan a gift that I gave myself when I was planning my life here. It was important for me to keep myself together with all that space. And look at what you have chosen for you. Well, it's all for a reason. Even if you feel like you didn't have as much space, you feel like, oh, it's so terrible. I'm much unluckier than you. I didn't have this much space. My parents were even much more controlling. Well, you did choose that. You made an agreement with those parents. You chose them. They chose you. It's an agreement, and you want to go through that. You are an ambitious soul. You are more brave. You wanted to take on more, so that you could hopefully resolve these generational trauma within you, through you, so that you don't pass it on to other people. That's why that's one of the reasons why we incarnate at all. Or there can be a different thing, is maybe you played the opposite of the roles that you're doing. Like maybe you have had parents that really are too controlling. They don't give you any space at all. Maybe because in the last life you were playing their roles. You were being controlling parents. In this life, you just want to make it right. You want to feel what you made your children feel in the last life. So now you've chosen to take their roles. And look at, let's say, even you could have been, let's say in this life you are a woman that's really like with your rights taken away, with a very controlling husband, or in very controlling relationships where your masculine powers all taken away from you. Maybe because in the past life you were that person. You were the man in the relationship that took away your wife's rights, that abused her emotionally in this way, and you just want to do it right. That's what you call karma, and it's all free will. Out of love, you wanted to do it, not because out of any obligation or if it was mandatory. Well, you wanted to do it. You wanted to do it because you loved to love. You loved to love, and you didn't do it right in the last life. You just felt the impulse to do it right in the next life. So that's karma. That's all a free will. And it's all love, and it's a deep conversation. And I'm still thinking. I'm still developing my thoughts all around this, and I still have my questions, and I'm waiting for them to be answered because I can't answer them. Like my questions are just answered by themselves, My biggest questions before I was spiritual. I like to talk about it because it's such a marvelous and magical experience to be from being completely not spiritual at all, and all of a sudden you shifted, and all of a sudden the door opens, all of a sudden you become a spiritual. It's such an experience, it's like a roller coaster. I like to talk about it also, especially because it didn't happen. It happened not long ago. It happened in the around April, or actually May of 2023, so it was just last year. Wait. 2022? 2023? Oh, yeah, it's 2023, actually. Wait, let me see. 2023. On May. Yeah, yeah. And then I moved in October. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, so it happened just about around a year ago, a year and a half ago. I love talking about it, especially, I know, like, it would relate to many people. especially people that are not spiritual, if they ever are drawn to watch this video, they could maybe feel something. Because I do not come as a person that's always spiritual all my life. So that makes me much more relatable to people that are not spiritual, you know? Because before, just last year, I was totally a sciencey head. I was like almost, I did not believe in anything that was not a scientific or something, you know? But I was also not so sure about everything. So I wasn't an atheist, like total atheist. I didn't know, you know? I didn't know. I kept the option open. If one day God was proven to be true, I would take it. I would not be one of those atheists that say, okay, God can't possibly exist. They don't believe in a God. Well, God can possibly exist. But now I know that, well, I've gone so far that I don't even use the word God anymore because it's just a low-level word, you know. It's very completely misused. That you wouldn't want to use it anymore if you are spiritual, you know. Because you know what it truly is not something that, it's not a thing, it's not even a concept, it's what is, everything included in it. I'd call it love. And some people call it joy, and if you want to be more scientific, you call it consciousness. Permeating existence of all existence, or existence itself. You can call it even existence, or everything. All, not God. God, this word, I would never use it like seriously. I mean, I use it when I say, oh my God, oh my fucking God. I would say that, but I wouldn't say it, I wouldn't use it seriously when I try to have a deep spiritual conversation, because this word is too, it contains so much misunderstanding and a gunk of, you know, I just completely drop it altogether. What you would ask me, I would say God doesn't exist. The God that's in your mind, that you are thinking about now, doesn't exist. As long as you still use this word to refer to something that is somehow different than what it isn't. You know, that's what most people, 99% people who think about the word God, think about. So God doesn't exist. It doesn't. It does not. What this word has been representing does not exist. Not at all. Just drop it all together. And I enjoy this. It's just love. Love. Consciousness. Existence. All. Fullness. Joy. You don't really have to name it. That's also you. You are love, consciousness, joy. If you are also out of the box of believing that you're a soul, that is also just an identity that you kind of take on. It's not something external about you. It still like has this layer of separation. I am a soul. That means I'm not other souls, and that's not the ultimate reality yet. Just out of convenience of explaining certain things, we use the word soul and spirituality, but really don't hold on to it. Don't hold on to it. Keep it open. You are all that is. Love, consciousness. And it doesn't have a boundary. Like, love doesn't have, like, when I say I am love, so is everyone. So is everything. So is all in existence. That's a closer concept or a description to truth. The ultimate truth. I still, still blows my mind right now when I think about how I've reached the ultimate reality. Like, I didn't even dare to dream to ask about what the ultimate truth is. I thought that the human beings would never be able to find out. Like, I had some other questions that couldn't even be answered. I thought the human beings wouldn't be able to answer, let alone questions about the ultimate reality, the ultimate truth. And yet, they get all answered. And on my journey. It's beyond my wildest dreams. I still think it still feels like a dream to me, It still feels like it's so wild, I did not expect this. I did not expect such outrageously good things. Like, it still feels like a dream. How could it all be true? And it is true, and I will live it, and I will know for sure that it is true. And now I'm only intellectually convinced that it is true. I've not fully experienced it yet, so often I feel shocked whenever I think about it still. Tomorrow I'm gonna do it again. Play my guitar outside. I just call it a guitar rather than a ukulele. Because it's just a guitar, right? Just smaller. Sounds different. Just a guitar. Ukulele is harder to say. Just a guitar. Small guitar. Let's see if I have something else to say. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank you for listening. Thank you. I hope you got something from this. And I wish you, and the only wish that I want to give to everybody, anyone, I wish you all the strength and clarity to follow your heart, your truly true heart, which is the only thing you're here to do. I wish you that. See you later.